All right, so I'd begin with introducing myself. This might be a bit of a repetition for some of you because we just had a demo lecture yesterday evening for mathematical methods for economics. But since everybody is included, so now I would again like to introduce myself. My name is Poonam Kumari. I have done my bachelor's in economics from Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University. Post that, I right away went to do my master's in economics, which was from Indian Statistical Institute, Delhi. After that, so this was in 2020. I graduated during the COVID pandemic. After that, I worked for 1.5 years as a data scientist. And from the past 1 year, I've been teaching full time to undergraduate students in economics. And that is how we are also meeting. So before starting with the lecture, I just want to tell you a bit more about what this course is going to entail. What all access will you be having, what all you'll be getting. So before jumping into that, I would just like to know if you guys are fine with me using Hindi English bilingual, or do you want me to strictly stick to English? If you want to speak up, you can. If you want to write in chat, it's fine with me. Just want to take a poll if people are fine with me using English and Hindi together, or do you want me to strictly stick to English? Okay. Sakshi says English. Namrata says both Hindi and English, ma'am. Okay, lovely. Yes. Okay, both. Both, yes. I would just quickly like to take a poll from other people as well. Sakshi says fine, she's fine. Namrata is fine. Ankita is fine. Mujtaba is also fine with both. Okay, Ankita is comfortable with anything. Lovely. Yes, okay. Okay. I know about Nagalakshmi, she's fine. And Riddhi, are you fine with both Hindi and English? And yes, okay, lovely. And we have, all right. So I think everybody seems fine with me using Hindi and English. So I'll keep switching. Jahan pe bhi jis bhi language ki need hogi, in terms of explaining and everything, I'll keep switching. So that's lovely to know that everybody's fine with Hindi and English together. Okay, all right. So let's jump on to just telling you a bit about what all features are included in the lecture. So let me just share my screen for a bit. All right. So I hope you are able to see my screen. Is the screen visible to you? Okay, lovely. All right. So there are a few things that we would like to clarify before taking the lecture forward. So we are going to have live classes. It'll mostly be during the weekends, and since this course is designed keeping in mind Delhi University students. So jab bhi aapki aakhri class, I think, which is 26th of July, till that time we'll keep our classes during weekends so that you guys can comfortably attend. Post that, we will have some classes during weekdays as well, so you guys can keep attending those. So we will be having mathematics classes in the evening, both Saturday and Sunday, and we will have macroeconomics class, the course that I'm currently taking, in the morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Don't worry, it'll not be a single stretch. You'll get breaks in between. So this is what will happen regarding the live classes. The second thing that I want to point out is, because of some commitment, if you're not able to attend any of the classes, you will have access to the recordings for the classes, so you can see the lectures in your own sweet little time. You will also get notes for all the chapters that we will be dealing with. You will have access to class notes, the notes that I prepared during the class, and you'll have separate access to notes for the chapters, so proper structured notes for that. The next thing that I want to point out is we will be discussing past year questions. So people who have this as their GE, don't worry, I will also scan through your past year papers. जिस भी तरीके की level of difficulty होगी papers में, I'll keep telling you that this is these are the GE questions, these are the B honors economics questions. So you guys can, decide based on the questions कि किस level of difficulty के questions आपसे पूछे जा रहे हैं. So GE जिसका भी है, please don't worry, I have taken a note of it and I'll keep sharing relevant questions for you as well. So हर unit को finish करने के बाद we'll be doing past year questions that will be based on that unit. You will also have access to the WhatsApp group for individual courses, that is for maths and macro. जहाँ पे आप अपने doubts, queries directly you can ask with your classmates as well. I will also be a part of it, so I can also keep a track of when and how should we go about dealing with your doubts. And after our course ends, so the ending date that we decided for the course is 31st of July, because the date sheet has come, and for BA honors people, it's, I think your exam are post 5th August. I think 7th or 8th August, one of your exam is there. So we will finish the whole course before 31st July. Okay, yes, Namrata says yes, okay. Yeah, so we'll finish the course, and we will keep the provision of having doubt classes. So we can have as many doubt classes as you want before your exams. If at any point in time you feel any problem, we can arrange doubt classes for that as well. And finally, feel free to contact me for any kinds of doubt. This doesn't necessarily have to be related to macroeconomics or economics. You can contact me with any form of doubt that you have. So I'll be available 24/7. Just ping me. You can ping me. You can call me. You can, if you don't want to use that, you can just send me an email or an Instagram or whatever. So I'll be available throughout the course. So you can, get in touch with me anytime. So these are the things that we will have access to during the whole course. All right. Apart from that, there is one more thing that I want to. This is just a little bit of housekeeping thing, that I am sending emails to you, but there are chances that my email might be going into your spam or promotions or social folder. So I would request you to just check it once after the lecture, and maybe you can put my contact as not spam, so that next time when you get meeting links, this directly goes to your primary folder, and there is no chance of missing out on the meeting updates. So this was all regarding all the housekeeping stuff, what the course will include, what all we will have, and when will be the classes, and when will we finish the course and everything. Till now, if you have any doubt, query, questions, feel free to ask. All right, so shall I move ahead? Okay, all right. So I'll go ahead. Okay, Sakshi says yes, Namrata says yes, okay. So yeah, guys, I would request you to, keep responding in chat if you don't want to speak. If you want to speak, speak. If you want to say something, keep sharing that in the chat. It keeps the class a little bit interactive. Yes. Okay. So I will again go on to sharing my screen and yeah, and before moving, I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So सबसे पहले एक बार ही डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कि इस कोर्स के लिए हमारे रीडिंग्स क्या क्या होंगे, कौन कौन से बुक्स आपको रेफर करने हैं. Actually, you don't need to refer to any books, but in case you want to go in depth of any of the chapters, let me just go through कि हम लोग क्या क्या books use करने वाले हैं. And don't worry if you don't have access to any of these books. When I will share the recordings and the lecture notes in the email, I will share the PDFs of all these books and economic survey and everything जो भी हमारे course में included है. So you don't need to worry about gathering कि मैं कहाँ से gather करूँ, काफी सारे books हैं. So you don't need to worry about all of that. Okay. So before moving on, एक बारी देख लेते हैं कि क्या क्या books हैं. So there is one book by Abel, Bernanke and Croshaw. So Ben Bernanke was the former Federal Reserve chief. Okay, Nagalakshmi says is principle of economics by Mankey. Okay, instead of macroeconomics one. Yes, Nagalakshmi, you can refer to it, but just for the sake of sticking to Delhi University syllabus, I am just going with that. But yeah, that book works as well. Yes. Okay, so this is the first book that we'll be dealing with. Major portion of Introduction to Macroeconomics and National Income Accounting will be done using this book. So हमारा balance of payment का topic, national income accounting का topic, introduction to macroeconomics का topic we'll be doing with this book. The second book that we have is Freuen, Macroeconomics Theories and Policies. This is the other book. This will mostly be used, I think, for doing the economy, the closed economy in the short run topics के लिए हम लोग use करने वाले हैं. And then there is a book by by Mankiw, which is on macroeconomics again. Then there is one book by Blanchard, which is macroeconomics again. And there is another book, which is Dornbusch and Fisher, again on macroeconomics. So these 5 books will be your references for separate sections of the course. You don't need to buy any of the books because different sections are there and everything is available online these days. So no need to buy the whole book. And हर book में कुछ sections बहुत अच्छे दिए हैं, इसीलिए कुछ topics के लिए अलग books से references दिए हुए हैं. All right. And along with that, हमें थोड़े बहुत sections या थोड़ी बहुत चीजें economic survey से भी refer करनी है. And it's always a good idea, because we are studying macroeconomics, so you should know what's going on in the Indian economy, Indian context as well. Uske liye, if you would like to, maybe glance a bit, to aap economic survey ko refer kar sakte ho. So we will also be referring it for a few sections on national income accounting. So all of these things I will share with you, all the PDFs and everything. So you don't need to worry about gathering all of it. Okay. So this was the section on the reference books. So these will be our reference books. All right. And now let's move on to dig a little bit deeper on हमें क्या sections करने होंगे. So सबसे पहला unit, the first unit that we are going to study is Introduction to Macroeconomics and National Income Accounting. So today we are going to deal, आज के lecture में भी I'll give you a brief overview of macroeconomics होती क्या है. So ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि you must have studied macroeconomics, right? काफी लोगों ने 12th में नहीं पढ़ा होगा. Some people might be taking it for the first time. So you need to have a brief overview कि actually macroeconomics होती क्या है and what's the rationale behind studying it. So I'll build up a brief overview regarding what is macroeconomics, क्या use है इसका, कहाँ पे इसका use होता है, all of that, and then we'll jump on to a few parts on national income accounting for today's lecture. So we will be doing these 3 sections from the first book, which was the Bernanke book. So we will have intro to macroeconomics. How do we measure the economic activity in the economy? National income accounting. How do we measure कि हमारी national economy में कितना production हो रहा है, कितना consumption हो रहा है, कितनी income generate हो रही है, GDP क्या होती है. So you must be hearing throughout in newspapers कि GDP ये, GNP ये, inflation ये, depreciation ये. So ये सारी चीजें क्या होती हैं, कैसे पूरी की पूरी अकाउंटिंग की जाती है. देन देयर इज अनदर सेक्शन कि हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स कितने हैं, हमारे इंपोर्ट्स कितने हैं, हमारा ट्रेड बैलेंस्ड है कि नहीं, ट्रेड सरप्लस है या ट्रेड डेफिसिट्स है. सो अगर आप न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हो या कुछ भी maybe you read some books on current affairs or something, so you must come across these terms. So ये सारी terms क्या होती हैं, इनका relevance क्या है, all of this will be covered in this chapter. So after finishing up with unit 1, we'll jump on to the second unit, which is on money. तो money होती क्या है, money का use क्या है, money start कैसे हुई, how do people have beliefs in money. Then there are different theories कि money circulate कैसे होती है. So how does money circulate, what is the speed of circulation, money circulation से क्या क्या होता है, inflation क्या होती है. All of these things we will be tackling, and we will also read a bit about financial markets. So financial markets में किस तरीके से instruments को trade किया जाता है, basics of all of that. Okay. Nitin, do you want to say something? Okay. All right. Okay. So after going into what is macroeconomics, how do we account for what level of economic activity is going in our country, then we'll talk about money related issues, and after that the topic which is clearly linked with how much money is circulating and everything is inflation. कि what is inflation? Inflation क्या होती है? महंगाई, the Hindi term is महंगाई. Inflation क्या होती है? Inflation क्यों होती है? अगर एक इकोनॉमी में ज्यादा इन्फ्लेशन है तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है, बहुत ही लो इन्फ्लेशन है तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है, अगर हाइपर इन्फ्लेशन है, लाइक सुपर इन्फ्लेशन है, मीनिंग इन्फ्लेशन का भी इन्फ्लेशन, मीनिंग जैसे करंटली यू मस्ट बी हियरिंग इन द न्यूज दैट करंटली इंडिया इज फेसिंग ह्यूज इन्फ्लेशन इन द इकोनॉमी. सो उसके क्या क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, इन्फ्लेशन होने से क्या होता है आपकी परचेजिंग पावर पे, एंड इन्फ्लेशन को टैकल कैसे किया जाता है, किस तरीके से. सो यू मस्ट बी हियरिंग दैट आरबीआई इज इंक्रीजिंग इट्स लेंडिंग रेट्स. तो इन्फ्लेशन और लेंडिंग रेट्स का क्या लिंक है, कौन डील करता है कि इन्फ्लेशन को कंट्रोल कैसे किया जाए, राइट. इन्फ्लेशन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए कौन सी बॉडी है, वो क्या क्या टूल्स यूज करती है. सो वी विल टॉक अबाउट ऑल ऑफ दीज एस्पेक्ट्स. So because RBI or any Federal Reserve, they are involved with the task of tackling inflation. तो किस तरीके से वो डील करते हैं. So हम मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी के बारे में काफी सारा डिस्कशन करेंगे कि मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी में क्या क्या टूल्स होते हैं, उसको कैसे कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाता है, किस सिचुएशन में कौन से टूल्स यूज किए जाते हैं. So this is going to be a very interesting topic and very current topic as well. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that a lot. So iske liye we will refer Mankiw, we will refer Blanchard, and we'll refer to economic survey as well. And there are a few readings. So readings are like research papers. So कुछ research papers, कुछ book के chapters जो लोगों ने personally लिखे हैं, they are not textbooks, but they have published books on their own. So we will also refer to those sections. So there is one book by Parthare on monetary policy. So we will take up the first chapter of that book, which is dealing with what is monetary policy. क्या होती है monetary policy, क्या क्या tools होते हैं, कौन decide करता है, किस situation में क्या apply करना चाहिए, basics of all of that. And there is again another reading by Pulapri Balakrishnan. If you've not heard of him, he's a very famous Indian economist. He's currently teaching in Ashoka University. He's a distinguished professor there. So there is one article which was published in the Hindu in 2020. The perils of RBI's fixation on inflation. So it talks about how RBI is fixated on dealing with inflation and what all is happening. So we will also take up some readings from that. And once we are done with the issue of money, inflation, and everything, then we will talk about कि economy में short run में किस तरीके से कि कितना output होगा, कितना employment होगा, क्या इंटरेस्ट रेट होगा, ये सब चीजें हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे कि काफी सारे मार्केट्स में जब चीजें एक साथ होती हैं तो किस तरीके से चीजें डिटरमाइन होती हैं इकोनॉमी में. एंड देन वी विल आल्सो टॉक अबाउट कि गवर्नमेंट, आरबीआई, जो भी फाइनेंशियल जो भी इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं हमारे पास, what power do they have, what all can they use. तो गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग करती है, टैक्स लेती है, सब्सिडीज देती है, उनका क्या इफेक्ट होता है इन जनरल ऑन एम्प्लॉयमेंट, ऑन इंटरेस्ट रेट एंड ओवरऑल आउटपुट. सो ये सब वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग. सो इसके लिए there are few readings. The Freuen we'll refer, and Dornbusch and Fisher also we will refer. So this is a brief overview of what our course is going to be. So our course is divided into 4 units. First is what exactly macroeconomy is, what is macroeconomics, and then we'll talk about national income accounting. Measurement, basically economy में कितनी activity हो रही है उसको measure कैसे करते हैं. And then we'll talk more about the conceptual things. What is money? What all concepts are related to money? And then we'll talk about inflation. And then how a closed economy works. Closed economy meaning an economy which is not dealing with the outside world, which is not doing any kind of international trade. So हम लोग हमेशा basic से शुरू करते हैं, फिर उसको expand करते हैं. कि starting हम closed economy की situation पढ़ते हैं, फिर देखते हैं कि okay, suppose if we open up our economy, then what happens? So closed economy in the short run, immediately अगर economy में कुछ होता है तो क्या impacts होते हैं. So this we will talk about. And yes, it's a very interesting course. And for the people who have not done macroeconomics, don't worry, we will do everything conceptually from the basics. So this is a brief overview of what our course is going to look like. If you have any concerns till this point, feel free to ask me. Okay. Okay, Namrita says, ma'am, our sir recommended a binding for economics. Should we buy that? Yes, you can, Namrita, you can buy that. Binding में usually readings में क्या होता है, जो भी chapters हमने यहाँ लिखे हुए हैं, they are all compiled together. So if you are someone who doesn't like to read online or on screen, you can buy that. Yes, you can. Okay. Yeah, okay, there's one more question. Ankita says, will we go in a sequence, or is it possible to do a particular chapter before the others? So we will be going in sequence, Ankita. This is to make sure that there is a flow involved, ताकि because पहले basics हो, फिर उसी पे हम लोग concepts को build up करेंगे. Yes. So we will go unit by unit only because they are building up on each other. Okay. Yeah, I just want to mention for those of you who have not filled the attendance sheet, I'm sharing one sheet with you in the chat. I would just request you to take a minute or two and please fill it up so that I know who all have attended. So four people have Ankita, Namrita, Riddhi, and Raja have filled it up. I'd request all of you also to fill it up quickly. It'll just take 1 minute. And once we are done with that, we will begin with our original lecture. Every other housekeeping thing is done from my side. Yes. Just quickly, in 2 minutes, we will start. So are we guys ready? Shall we start with our lecture? Okay, lovely. All right. So today, before doing anything, before getting into all the technical stuff, ये model, वो model, ये graph, ये equation, सबसे पहले हमें एक ओवरव्यू पता होना चाहिए कि कोई भी चीज हम क्यों कर रहे हैं, क्यों पढ़नी है मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, क्या हो जाएगा एक मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ के, या मुझे क्या समझ में आ जाएगा, या एज ए करियर व्हाट विल आई बी एबल टू अकॉम्प्लिश इफ आई एम समवन हु नोज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. या फिर इफ समवन सेज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, डू यू नो मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, सो व्हाट डज दैट मीन कि आपको किस किस तरीके की चीजें पता होनी चाहिए. ओके, सो एक बेसिक एज अ सब्जेक्ट का जो ओवरव्यू होता है वो अभी हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. सो द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी आर गोइंग टू डील विद इज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स होती क्या है, व्हाट इज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. सो मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स so it's the study of structure and performance of national economies and just spare me, I sometimes tend to make spelling errors, and of all the policies that the government uses to try to affect economic performance. So macroeconomics होती क्या है? What is it? It's the study of structure and performance of national economies. जो भी national economies different countries की आप देखते हो, उनका structure क्या है? Structure क्या है मतलब क्या क्या institutions हैं which are involved in building that? How is the national economy performing? So economy की GDP क्या है? Inflation rate क्या है? What is the unemployment level? How I mean, how economically strong people are, how developed the country is, what is the purchasing power of that economy? Are people really, I mean, how happy? I mean, this is a concept that's not directly linked to macroeconomics, but in general, how are your citizens feeling? How happy or how rich do they feel? किस तरीके की इनइक्वालिटी है आपकी कंट्री में? इज योर इकोनॉमी रिलेटिवली सिमिलर कि हर इंसान सिमिलर पेडिस्ट्रल पे है, या देयर इज टू मच इनइक्वालिटी गोइंग ऑन इन योर इकोनॉमी, टू रिच एंड टू हाई, देयर इज नो मिडल. So this is all the concepts that are involved in looking at the performance of the national economy. How is your economy performing as a whole? And it is also a study of what all policies that the government uses to affect the economic performance. What all policies are government using ताकि जो citizens हैं उनका upliftment हो, उनको employment मिले, हमारी economy boom करे, we become a superpower, we hit let's say a $5 trillion mark worldwide, हमारी $5 trillion की इकोनॉमी बने. इसके लिए क्या क्या करें, सरकार किस किस तरीके से इन्वेस्टमेंट्स लाती है, जो आरबीआई है, रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया, या फिर जो भी सेंट्रल बैंक होता है किसी भी इकोनॉमी का, हाउ डू दे डील विद प्रॉब्लम्स लाइक इन्फ्लेशन, वो मनी सप्लाई किस तरीके से अप्लाई करते हैं, कब वो मनी सप्लाई को बढ़ाते हैं, कब वो कम करते हैं. So people have this question that why don't if India is so poor, why don't people just print money and make everybody not poor, just give money to them. So is tarike ke questions you will get to you'll get answers to those kinds of questions in studying macroeconomics. So economy का structure क्या है, economy perform कैसे कर रही है, और government and central bank what all kinds of policies do they use to deal with the day-to-day issues that the economy is facing. Vivek, are you trying to draw something?
No ma'am, no.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah. So ये सब जो भी issues हैं, ये सब हम लोग macro economics में पढ़ते हैं. So an example of few of the questions that we deal with in macroeconomics is कि what is the long run economic growth? And what determines it? What is the long run? If I just simply could go back to it, some of the questions that are involved, क्या क्या questions के हम लोग answers अगर हम लोग macro economics पढ़ते हैं तो जान सकते हैं, which is what determines a nation's long run economic growth. India long run में is it going to be economically better than USA or let's say Indonesia or Bangladesh? तो क्या फैक्टर्स हैं जो एक इकोनॉमी को लॉन्ग रन में स्टेबल बनाते हैं, इकोनॉमिकली एक स्ट्रॉन्ग पोजीशन में लेके आते हैं? क्या इज इट इन्वेस्टमेंट, इज इट द एक्सेस टू नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज? सो यू मस्ट बी लिसनिंग कि काफी सारे सऊदी कंट्रीज में बिकॉज दे हैव एक्सेस टू ऑयल दे आर नेचुरली रिच. सो व्हाट डिटरमिन्स कि कौन सी इकोनॉमी रिच होगी? There are some economies which don't have access to any resources, but they are still booming. They are still in a very economically sound position. They have higher GDP per capita, purchasing power unki zyada hai. So what actually determines कि एक economy grow करती है या नहीं? Is it access to resources? Is it investments? Is it their government policies? क्या factors हैं जो economic growth को affect करते हैं? All right. Second kind of question that we are going to deal with is कि काफी बार क्या होता है, national economic activity, that means GDP fluctuate करती है, GDP growth fluctuate करती है. तो what causes all of those fluctuations? क्या ये just boom bust एक phase रहता है? Is it a cycle or is it something which is created inside a country? Okay. So these kinds of questions we deal in macroeconomics. What causes unemployment? क्यों एक economy में unemployment होता है? कब unemployment होता है? जैसे you must be seeing कि इंडिया का जो service sector है, it contributes close to 50% of the GDP. But service sector बहुत ही capital intensive business होता है. It's not a labor intensive business. Not lots of people are employed in that sector. तो बहुत ही कम लोग employ करके आप बहुत ही ज़्यादा value create कर सकते हो. So इस तरीके की skewness, इंडिया में manufacturing sector is not performing so well. It's not able to generate too much jobs. Manufacturing sector is a sector जहाँ पे there is huge scope of involving labor. But agar manufacturing sector is not performing well, so there are multiple people who will be left out of the jobs. So what is the reason कि unemployment होता है? क्या ये एक cyclic चीज है कि bust के time boom bust, economy is growing, economy is shrinking? What happens to unemployment during all those cycles? Okay, so what causes unemployment? The other question that we deal is what causes prices to rise? Why does inflation rise? क्यों economy में महंगाई बढ़ती है? क्या reason है? जैसे suddenly there was a Russia-Ukraine war which is still going on. So उसकी वजह से international markets में कोई एक fluctuation हुआ. उसके वजह से क्या हुआ? There was a supply chain disruption of oil. We are a very huge oil importing country in the world. So अगर हमारे oil imports पे फर्क पड़ता है तो उससे हर एक चीज पे फर्क पड़ता है कि पूरी की पूरी जो supply chain होती है वो oil से connected है. आपकी सब्जियां, आपका दूध, आपके सारे products, everything is transported using oil, right? तो अगर oil को gather करने में मुश्किल हो रही है, oil के prices अगर बढ़ रहे हैं तो उससे आपकी every single commodity के prices पे effect पड़ेगा, right? तो so what causes prices to rise? कोई supply chain disruption हो रही है या ऐसा तो नहीं है कि suddenly RBI ने बहुत सारा पैसा छापना शुरू कर दिया, everybody has too much money with themselves. तो क्या होता है actually? Why do prices change? Why do prices rise? So what are the reasons behind inflation? So this is one of our units which is on inflation. So we'll deal with that. Okay. There is one more aspect कि आप ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी का हिस्सा हैं, आप इंटरनेशनली ट्रेड कर रहे हैं, आप एक्सपोर्ट भी कर रहे हैं, आप इंपोर्ट भी कर रहे हैं. तो एक ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी का हिस्सा बनने से तो बाहर जो भी शॉक्स आ रहे हैं या बाहर की इकोनॉमी में कोई भी अगर गड़बड़ चल रही है तो वो गड़बड़ आपकी इंडियन इकोनॉमी को किस तरीके से इफेक्ट करती है. ठीक है, ये जो डिस्कशंस है ये भी हम मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में करते हैं. अभी for now in this course we will not be talking about international economy. We will only be talking about closed economy, ऐसी economy जो closed है, which is not dealing which is not which is not involved with the outside economies. But it's a very interesting question which comes in कि what happens when you start trading internationally. अगर आप न्यूज़ में पढ़ रहे हो तो रूपी डिवैल्यूएशन के बारे में बहुत सुनने को मिल रहा होगा कि $1 is now equivalent to almost close to 80 rupees, so 77-78 rupees. It has come down to that. तो रुपी जो है वो बहुत ही अपनी strength lose कर रहा है relative to US dollars. तो why is that happening, how does the RBI and the government ensure कि हमारा रुपी और डॉलर थोड़ा स्ट्रेंथ बनी रहे उनकी आपस में, ठीक है. So all of these questions, and finally how does government policy, how does central banks policy कहाँ पे इंट्रोड्यूस की जा सकती है ताकि इन्फ्लेशन को कंट्रोल किया जा सके, डेफिसिट्स को कंट्रोल किया जा सके, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट को कंट्रोल किया जा सके, इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड में हमारा जो रूपी है वो डीवैल्यू ना हो, हमारे सिटीजन्स के पास ज्यादा से ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज हो, उनकी पर कैपिटा इनकम बढ़ पाए. So all of these questions which are of very practical relevance, which affect you and me day to day, all of these questions, all of these issues are what we discuss in macroeconomics. So I hope this is a good enough background and this is a good enough reason for you to study macroeconomics. It's a very interesting subject if you couple it with whatever is happening in the real world. तो आप थियोरी यहाँ पे पढ़ो और आप देखो न्यूज में क्या हो रहा है, आपके आसपास क्या हो रहा है, इन्फ्लेशन कैसे बढ़ रही है, आरबीआई रेपो रेट कम कर रहा है, मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी रिव्यू होता रहता है वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली, तो वो रेपो रेट बढ़ा रहा है कि नहीं, बैंकिंग के इंटरेस्ट रेट्स चेंज हो रहे हैं कि नहीं, उससे क्या क्या होता है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज क्वेश्चंस which are of very highly practical, very high practical relevance. Either आप चाहे गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में जाएं या फिर आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जाएं, these are the things which affect every single business because we are a part of the economy. So जिस तरीके से भी इकोनॉमी परफॉर्म करती है, it affects us in every single way, both economically, monetarily, financially, everything. All right. So ये सब issues जो हैं हम लोग मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में डील करते हैं. I hope everybody is fine with that. With this, any doubts till this point? Anything in particular that you want to ask? Okay, no doubts, no doubts. Okay. So there are a few more topics जिसको हम डिटेल में बाद में पढ़ेंगे, बट उनके बारे में थोड़ा थोड़ा ओवरव्यू जो है I would like to give you at this point. So let me just write that. So one is long run economic growth. This is one. The other one is business cycle. The other one is unemployment. The other one is inflation. Okay, what is happening? Inflation. The other one is international economy. The other one is macroeconomic policy. And finally, what is aggregation? Yeah. So we will talk about briefly हर एक टॉपिक के बारे में हम थोड़ा थोड़ा डिस्कस करेंगे. They are not directly related कोई भी particular concept से, but एक overview देने में these concepts are very important. So first we'll talk about long run economic growth. Okay. Long run economic growth का मतलब होता है कि in a longer period of time, is an economy growing? क्या economy grow कर रही है? Is it stagnant or is it going down? So if you go around, if you've traveled internationally or maybe between states, so there is a disparity among Indian states as well. Some states are very poor, some states are very rich. कहीं पे मिट्टी के मकान होते हैं, कहीं पे कच्चे मकान हैं, कहीं पे पक्के मकान हैं, सीमेंटेड हाउसेस हैं. If you go to metro cities, you will see there are so many buildings around you. So there is a disparity within a country. And if you travel internationally also, you see that the whole environment or the sky is super blue. आपको 1-2 दिन तो लग जाते हैं यही रजिस्टर करने में कि इतना सुंदर हो सकता है sky. So I remember this happened with me once when I went outside. For 2 days I was not able to imagine कि इतना सुंदर, इतना blue sky हो सकता है. So you get to see this sometimes कभी कभार आफ्टर बारिश इन इंडिया कि बिल्कुल ब्लू स्काई है, अच्छा है. बट यस, सो ऑल ऑफ दीज रीजंस कि वहाँ पे रोड्स इतनी साफ है, गंदगी नहीं है, ओवरऑल इवन द पुअर देयर इज नॉट सो पुअर. अगर आप इंडिया से कंपेयर करो तो okay. So if you compare it with India, the poor are also not so poor. So relatively, so absolutely they might be poor according to that country's standard. But if we compare it with India, we will not consider them poor, right? So living standards में difference होता है हर एक country में, right? Different countries की population अलग अलग होती है, right? जैसे India में right now we are having a phase of, we have a huge working population. So ये जो working population है हमारे पास, can we put all of these people to good use? Can we use our demographic dividend? So जब भी हमारे पास huge working age population होती है, that is called demographic dividend. So if you can use your demographic dividend in a good way to boost the economic performance of your economy, that will be a good thing for an economy. But ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि India is not able to provide enough opportunities for those people. तो जब भी एक working age population के person को proper employment opportunities नहीं मिलती हैं, so they get disappointed. Sometimes they get depressed also. So अगर उस population को अच्छे से control ना किया जाए, so it can also lead to crime, chaos, people fighting, lots of protest happening, all of these things. So बहुत सारी चीजें होती है जो determine करती हैं आपकी economic growth को. कि ऐसा हो सकता है कि so there are a few factors which affect long run economic growth. कि आप investments करते हैं कि नहीं. As a country, is the country investing in the infrastructure? Do we have good roads? Do we have good airways? Do we have good health infrastructure? Do we have good education in place which can train people properly so that they can become good workers, they can be entrepreneurs, all of these things. So are proper investments happen? One thing. The second thing could be technology. So there are few countries like South Korea or Israel or Germany which are heavily technologically advanced. तो क्या टेक्नोलॉजी है जो इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को डिटरमिन करती है? क्या इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं जो डिटरमिन करती हैं? क्या रिसोर्सेज जो हैं, रिसोर्सेज मे बी आपकी कंट्री है जो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज बहुत ज्यादा है उसके पास, या ऑयल है, या फिर some natural resources, mineral, iron, whatever you can think of. क्या access to resource determine करता है कि आपकी economy जो है, will it be a rich economy? Will it enjoy all the economic benefits? तो काफी सारे, but we see that काफी सारे countries हैं which have no natural resources, no abundant natural resources, but they are still doing better because of the because of the policies that they have, because of the way they are, structuring their different sectors, agriculture, manufacturing, service sectors. So kya other reason for economic growth could be productivity. So आपकी वर्कफोर्स कितनी प्रोडक्टिव है. ऐसा हो सकता है कि maybe productivity, suppose if a country has lots of technologically advanced thing, जिससे कि एक काम जो एक दिन लगता है वो 1 घंटे में ही हो जाता है, that is a productive use, right? So does economic growth depends on productivity or of your resources, your labor force? So काफी सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं जिनको स्टडी किया जाता है कि क्या क्या फैक्टर्स हैं जो लॉन्ग रन इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को डिटरमिन करते हैं. Why is US so advanced? Why are we still lagging? What did China do in the recent past that it has become the second largest economy in the world today? What is South Korea doing? Why is Israel so technologically advanced? Why is Saudi? How are Saudi countries so rich? What is Singapore doing? Why? So all of these things, what is happening in Sri Lanka? Why are they facing economic crisis? So ये सारे interesting case studies हो सकते हैं. So I mean, I would encourage you to see कि what do you think is a very important factor, and जो भी factors हमने discuss किए हैं, you can pick up contrast examples कि ऐसे countries जिनके पास natural resources हैं, बहुत ही rich natural resources हैं, but one of them is rich and one of them is not. One of them it's very technologically advanced, but one of them is rich, one of them is not. So if you see contrasting examples, you will see कि there are varied examples, different examples which determine economic growth. So it's a mix of all these factors. Hello, John. Do you want to say something? Okay. All right. So this was a bit about economic growth. I hope I'm not boring you too much with all of this information. Okay. Lovely. All right. There is one more topic at hand, which is business cycles. Business cycle का मतलब होता है okay. So how does your output, whenever I say output, I mean production in the economy, production of goods, services. So how does your output grows? So काफी बार ऐसा होता है that आप न्यूज में सुनते हो कि that the economy is booming, our GDP hit this number, our GDP is growing by 9%. Sometimes you hear news like our economy is shrinking, हमारा प्रोडक्शन कम हो गया है, हमारी GDP growth is reducing. So why is all this happening? So there is a natural flow that, let's say this is output growth and this is time. Okay. So कई बार क्या होता है कि your economy is booming, the output, the GDP, the gross domestic product, which is overall, it's a index which measures how much production of goods and services that you are doing in a fixed amount of time in a country. So वो आपका increase हो रहा है, and over time suddenly it starts to decrease, and then it goes down, and then it again picks up, again it goes down, and it's a cycle that keeps going on. तो suddenly आप boom phase में होते हैं, आपका output बहुत grow कर रहा होता है, everybody is so happy in the economy कि चलो हम बहुत पैसा लगाएंगे, इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे, प्रोड्यूस करेंगे, बहुत डिमांड आ रही है, everybody is buying, and suddenly something happens, people lose that confidence, सो क्या होता है, पीपल खरीदना छोड़ देते हैं तो लोगों का स्टॉक बच जाता है, फिर लोग एम्प्लॉय करना बंद कर देते हैं, फिर फैक्ट्रीज बंद हो जाती हैं, फिर सडनली आउटपुट जो है उसकी ग्रोथ कम हो जाती है, इट गोज डाउन, आउटपुट में भी श्रिंक भी हो जाता है कई बार. देन देयर इज सम इंटरवेंशन, गवर्नमेंट डज समथिंग, उसके बाद फिर से ये साइकिल चलती है. So this natural process of output growing and shrinking, this is called business cycle. So natural flow of output increasing, decreasing. So sudden and sharp changes in the output over time is called business cycle. All right. So business cycle is almost similar to what happens generally in our life also. Sometimes we are super happy, something happens, we are super confident, everything is working out for us, and we keep doing that thing, and suddenly something hits us. Maybe we get a little low, we stay in that phase for some time, we gather our courage, we do something, हम थोड़े और हाथ पैर मारते हैं, and suddenly it picks up. So it's just like what happens in an individual lives, similar things happening for the economy. Okay. So this is called business cycle. Okay, so ma'am, can you say that there is no specific factor for output growth? Okay, so ma'am, we can say that there is no specific factor for output growth goes down and up. No, Namrata, there are factors, but in general behavior रहता है ये. Specific factors like जब भी economy में जब भी इकोनॉमी में लोगों को पॉजिटिव बिलीफ होता है, जैसे सपोज जब कोरोना हुआ, राइट, कोरोना वायरस पेंडेमिक हुआ, तो एवरीबडी हैड नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स अबाउट एवरीथिंग. तो लोग वैसे ही कर्फ्यू लगा हुआ है, फैक्ट्रीज बंद है, सो उस टाइम पे कोई भी अपनी नई फैक्ट्रीज, नए इन्वेस्टमेंट्स कुछ भी नहीं करना चाहता, राइट. सो उस चक्कर में क्या होता है, लोग फैक्ट्रीज बंद कर रहे हैं, नए बिजनेसेस नहीं खोल रहे हैं, लोगों को एम्प्लॉय नहीं कर रहे हैं. उससे क्या होता है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ जाती है, लोगों के हाथ में पैसा नहीं होता, लोग पैसा बचाना चाहते हैं कि बस किसी तरह हम पैसे सेव कर लें. तो जो ऑलरेडी लोग प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं, उनका सामान खरीदने के लिए भी कोई आदमी नहीं है, राइट. तो उनके प्रॉफिट भी कम हो रहे हैं, तो फिर वो अपने एम्प्लॉयज को निकाल रहे हैं. तो ये एक प्रॉपर साइकिल चल रही है, राइट. तो दिस इज वन फेज. दूसरा तरीका, दूसरा फैक्टर क्या हो सकता है बूम का, जैसे सडनली अभी आप देख रहे हो कि देयर इज अ स्टार्टअप बूम हैपनिंग इन द इकोनॉमी. यू मस्ट बी हियरिंग दैट दिस पर्सन गॉट दिस मच फंडिंग, फिजिक्स वाला गॉट दिस मच फंडिंग, मीशो गॉट दिस मच फंडिंग, different things you must be hearing. So right now startup के cases में everybody is feeling positive. So धीरे धीरे everybody, all the venture capitalists, people who fund projects, they are very positive about the startup scene in India. So वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, अपनी फंडिंग, अपना पैसा डाल रहे हैं. तो धीरे धीरे क्या हो रहा है, there is a boom in the startup arena. तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, the moment something bad happens because of some reason, because of some outside factors, let's say दोबारा कोरोना हो जाए और किसी ने ऐसे स्टार्टअप में फंडिंग की थी जिसके लिए फिजिकल ऑफिसेस खुलने थे, राइट. उस चक्कर में क्या हुआ, दे स्टार्ट मेकिंग लॉसेस, एवरीबडी बिकम्स ग्लूमी, लोगों को लगता है हमारी इन्वेस्टमेंट बर्बाद हो जाएगी, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो ये जो बिजनेस साइकिल अप एंड डाउन होती है, इसको होने के काफी अलग अलग तरीके हो सकते हैं. बिलीफ सिस्टम, सम गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी, some outside pandemic, some external factor, वो कुछ भी हो सकता है. But ये generally pattern देखा गया है कि there is a boom, there is a bust, there is a boom, there is a bust. This is what keeps happening. So ma'am, those who invest on cryptocurrency, is this beneficial for them? Okay, this is too early to answer this question. So right now there is a lot of uncertainty in terms of how the government regulations are. Government has started taxing the benefits out of cryptocurrency. They are taxing it at 30%. But it's too early to say is it beneficial or not, because this is a sector which is very fluctuating. As of now, I would not say, I would not comment on it. Okay, ma'am, got it. Okay, all right. So business cycle से ही associated. Okay, okay, Namrata. Thank you. All right. So business cycle से ही related एक और aspect है. अब ये सारी चीजें ना आपस में interconnected है, ठीक है? तो suddenly क्या हो रहा है? जैसे ही आपका आउटपुट बहुत ज्यादा ग्रो कर रहा है, तो उससे क्या होता है, लोग नए नए बिजनेसेस खोल रहे हैं, नए नए लोगों की नीड बढ़ रही है, उससे क्या होता है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ता रहता है, राइट? ज्यादा लोगों की नीड, ज्यादा पीपल डिमांडेड टू डू द वर्क, एंड देयर इज अ डिक्रीज इन अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट. और सिमिलरली इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द रिवर्स थिंग, जैसे ही आउटपुट ग्रोथ कम होती है, पीपल फैक्ट्रीज शट कर देते हैं, पीपल गेट लेड ऑफ, लोग पीपल नए बिजनेसेस नहीं खोल रहे हैं, ज्यादा वैकेंसीज नहीं है. सो इस चक्कर में क्या होता है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट कीप्स इंक्रीजिंग. ओके, सो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑल्सो फॉलोज दिस साइकिल. जब भी हम बूम पे होते हैं, एम्प्लॉयमेंट बहुत ज्यादा होता है. जब हम लोग बस्ट फेज पे आते हैं, डिक्रीजिंग पार्ट पे आते हैं, तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है इट स्टार्ट्स टू इंक्रीज. ओके, सो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बाय डेफिनेशन क्या होता है, ऐसे सारे लोग जो कि वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन के हैं. सो दे आर फ्रॉम द एज ऑफ 15 to 60. दे आर फ्रॉम, वो वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन के हैं. दे आर एबल टू वर्क. Able to work meaning they are physically and mentally sound to do the work. They are not facing any physical or mental challenges जिससे वो काम ना कर पाए. So all those people who are in the working age population, who are able to work and they are willing to work, ऐसे लोग, yes Namrita, I'll come back to it. Okay. So all those people who are of the working age population, who are able to work and who are willing to work, उनको चाहिए कि वो जॉब करें, but because of some reason they are not able to get some opportunity, get some employment. Those are the people who are called unemployed. अगर आप ऐसे इंसान हैं जो you're not even looking for a job, you're not willing to do job, okay, then you will not be a part of the unemployment, an unemployed population. Okay, so with changes in the business cycle, unemployment also keeps rising and falling. So Namrita asked us that, ma'am, is population affect the unemployment? Yes, population does affects the unemployment rate. कि अगर एज एन इकोनॉमी इफ यू, आपकी पॉपुलेशन ग्रो कर रही है, राइट, बट आप इनफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, so this will give rise to demographic disaster instead of demographic dividend. It will give rise to demographic disaster, yes, which is what is currently very evident in the Indian economy. Everybody is fighting for jobs, everybody wants a government job. Vacancies, the government is reducing the vacancies, but everybody is after government jobs, and there are not enough opportunities that are being generated in the manufacturing sector. So yes, जो भी हमारी population grow कर रही है, they are not getting enough opportunities. So unless you're from a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 college, some in IT sector, you're not getting good enough jobs. So yes, population does affects unemployment. It can be positive, it can be negative, but it does affect unemployment rate. The other thing which is associated with the business cycle is inflation. ये सारी चीजें connected है. Okay, अगर बहुत सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं, मतलब सबको सैलरी मिल रही है, या अगर they run their business, that means they are earning profits also. तो जब लोगों के हाथ में पैसा होता है, they start demanding goods, consumer goods, खाने पीने की चीजें, clothing, consumer durables, car, housing, everything, right? They start demanding. तो अगर कोई चीजें हैं जो फिक्स हैं, मान लो मेरे पास 10 ही कार है, I have 10 cars, okay? पहले मेरे पास 10 ही लोग आ रहे थे कार खरीदने के लिए, ठीक है? मैंने सपोज कार मैं बेचती थी 5 लाख रुपए में. So I used to sell the cars at 5 lakh rupees per unit. But suddenly, instead of these 10 people, let's say 1,000 people start coming to me and I see, okay, why are these 1,000 people coming and everybody is saying they want a car, okay, so ये supply जो है ये limited है, but demanders जो है suddenly बढ़ गए. So what is the natural thing to do? You will increase your rate and you'll say, okay, I'll sell this car in 50 lakh rupees, right? So इससे क्या हुआ, जब डिमांड बहुत बढ़ जाती है और सप्लाई उतनी ही रहती है, उससे क्या होता है, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाता है. ओके, इन्फ्लेशन मतलब जो भी प्रोडक्ट है उसके प्राइसेस राइज हो जाते हैं. So this is, so rise in the prices, the overall rise in the prices of commodities, goods, services, it is called inflation. So whenever the economy is in the boom phase, people are employed, lots of production happening and everything, what happens is generally it is seen that the economy is facing inflation. Okay. So all of these ideas are linked. But कई बार क्या होता है कि सपोज मेरे पास 10 कार्स हैं, मेरे पास पहले 10 लोग आते थे खरीदने के लिए, बट अब सडनली कोरोना वायरस हो गया है, पीपल आर नॉट स्टेपिंग आउट ऑफ देयर हाउसेस, they are not going, they are not using any vehicles, and जो भी उनके पास पैसा है, they just want to keep that money to themselves because God knows when they might have to go to the hospital, some expenses, so they just want to save that money. So पहले 10 लोग आते थे, अब सिर्फ 5 लोग आ रहे हैं कार खरीदने के लिए. So then and they are also, you know, finding lots of flaw कि ये कार में ये नहीं है, ये नहीं है. Then what happens? Suddenly your price for the car goes down because you also want to sell your cars. So that is called deflation, a fall in the prices, the level of prices of commodities. That is called deflation. So ये business cycle जैसे move up down करती है. This keeps happening. Suddenly अगर इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स में कुछ होता है, सप्लाई चेन में कुछ गड़बड़ होती है, ऑयल प्राइसेस बढ़ रहे हैं, डिक्रीज कर रहे हैं, उससे इन्फ्लेशन में चेंजेस होते रहते हैं. ओके, so this is a concept, so these are all the concepts which are related with each other. There is one more thing, although we are not going to do talk more about international economy, but we need to know at least the basics. So there are two types of economies. One is open economy. You might feel कि हम बहुत ही vaguely बात कर रहे हैं, ज़्यादा specifics नहीं बात कर रहे हैं. It's because right now we are just taking an overview कि क्या क्या topics involved हैं. Basic थोड़ा थोड़ा information हमें सबके बारे में मालूम हो, ताकि जब आप actual concepts को बहुत deeply पढ़ो तो आपको थोड़ी feel आए, आपको थोड़ा context मालूम हो कि क्यों पढ़ा जा रहा है ये सब. ठीक है? So yes, okay. So there are two types of economies. One is closed economy and one is open economy. So open economy is an economy which trades or which is economically related with the rest of the world. So India right now is an open economy because it has trade relation. It trades financially also, commodity wise also with other countries. हम लोग export भी करते हैं, हम लोग imports भी करते हैं. So open economy is an economy which is connected with the rest of the world, by economy wise, financially also. We borrow from other countries, we give some money to other countries as well. So this is called open economy. And closed economy means an economy which has no dealing with any outside country. So there is no closed economy as such, but a very close approximate example would be North Korea. They have everything inside. They are not dealing with any outside person. Mostly वो ना किसी को, मतलब majorly they are self-sustained. They are living within themselves. So this could be the closest example of a closed economy. ऐसी economy जो बाहर की दुनिया से बिल्कुल integrated नहीं है, trade relations नहीं है, financial relationships नहीं है. ठीक है? So this is called closed economy. So international economy के context में हम चीजें जब देखते हैं तो हम किस तरीके के discussions करते हैं अगर हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स ज्यादा हैं और हमारे इंपोर्ट्स कम हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड ट्रेड सरप्लस. ट्रेड सरप्लस मतलब योर एक्सपोर्ट्स, the value of your exports is greater than the value of your imports, right? So net क्या हो रहा है? Dollars or the outside currency is coming into your country. So what happens when you have trade surplus and what happens when you have trade deficit? Okay, like when we connect this open economy, okay, Nagalakshmi has a question like, can we connect this open and closed economy concept with types of economies such as socialist, communist, North Korea, Russia being communist? No, not actually. So these are the, so okay. So एक होता है connected होना outside world से, एक होता है कि आपकी इकोनॉमी का बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है. So there are so there is a capitalist economy, there is socialist economy, there is communist. No, is it communist? Okay, communist. All right. So this international economics going hand in hand with international politics and geopolitics. Yes, economics and politics are highly linked, because ultimately everything is about one, power, and second, money. So politics determines power and power is derived from money, which comes from the economy. So yes, everything is integrated. Yes, you cannot take these things in isolation. सो कैपिटलिज्म, सोशलिज्म, कम्युनिज्म, ये सब जो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, ये कॉन्सेप्ट्स होते हैं कि आप अपनी इकोनॉमी को किस तरीके से चलाना चाह रहे हो, कि आप जो भी मार्केट कर रहा है उस पे चीजें छोड़ दोगे या आप कंट्रोल ले लोगे कुछ कुछ चीजों में जहां पे देयर इज अ नीड फॉर इन्वॉल्वमेंट फॉर सिटीजन्स. जैसे इंडिया इज अ मिक्स ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म एंड सोशलिज्म, राइट? कि कुछ कुछ चीजें वो अपने हाथ में ले लेते हैं कि we will deal with a few things like healthcare, education, providing employment to people, all of these things. Or a pure capitalist economy would mean like jo bhi market, everything market will provide, everything will be privatized. We have no dealing whatsoever regarding all of these things. Communism is another extreme jahan pe they'll say everything the state will own, everything the जो भी आपका country है that owns everything, you will come work, get paid, there is no inequality. Right now extremes पे कोई country नहीं है, there are some mixes, so there is a basically spectrum. So this would be extreme capitalism, this would be extreme communism. एक spectrum है जहाँ पे बीच बीच में countries are lying. I'm so sorry, there is no exact extremes right now, but some middles. किसी में किसी चीज के फीचर हैं, जैसे if you talk about European countries, many countries में education is free, healthcare is free, but their taxation is super high, ताकि सबको they have taxation up to the level of 40% in Europe in some countries, but वो बाकी चीजें बहुत अच्छे से provide करते हैं to everyone. In some cases in US the healthcare is not free, it's all privatized. So अलग अलग elements हैं. India में there is a mix, there is private hospitals also, government hospital also. So these kinds of things. Yes. So this is so capitalism, socialism, all of these. ये एक philosophy होती है कि government किस तरीके से अपने citizens को जो चीजें हैं वो provide करना चाहती है. And this also comes from an economic perspective कि all the things in the world are limited. Since they are scarce, they are limited, then someone has to take the decision on how they will be allocated. किस तरीके से आप चीजों को divide करोगे. यही सब allocation की चीजें जो है हम economics में पढ़ते हैं. So when we talk about microeconomics, we deal with how an individual allocates whatever resources they have, and in macroeconomics we aggregate everything. So क्या होता है कि अगर बहुत सारे इंडिविजुअल्स को ऐड कर दिया जाए, इकोनॉमी या एक कंट्री होती क्या है? बेसिकली अ सम टोटल ऑफ ऑल द इंडिविजुअल्स दैट आर स्टेइंग इन दैट कंट्री, राइट? So सब individuals की income को अगर sum कर दिया जाए, that will give you national income. So individual economic units को if you keep adding up, then what do you get? Aggregate consumption, aggregate investment, aggregate employment, aggregate unemployment, ये सब चीजें. So चीजों को जब आप basic unit से you keep aggregating का मतलब होता है इकट्ठा करना, add करना, build up करना. So microeconomics में you study basic brief individual units. Individual क्या कर रहा है, एक firm क्या कर रही है, एक monopoly क्या कर रही है, ये सब चीजें. बट जब आप बहुत सारी फर्म्स क्या कर रही है, पूरा सेक्टर क्या कर रहा है, सर्विस सेक्टर क्या कर रहा है, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर क्या कर रहा है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर क्या है, आपने क्या किया, डिफरेंट फर्म्स, ऐसी सारी फर्म्स जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में थी सबको ऐड कर दिया, तो दैट बिकम्स द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, राइट. सो चीजों को एग्रीगेट करना जो है हम लोग मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में स्टडी करते हैं. ओके, सो दैट गिव्स यू अ लिंक बिटवीन, if you aggregate microeconomics you get macroeconomics. Okay, so जो भी चीजें आप individual level पे microeconomics में study करते हो उसको अगर आप aggregate कर दो then you get macro related question कि economy wide consumption कितना है, economy wide investment कितनी है, how much money is flowing, what is the money supply, all of these things. Okay, yeah, so these are a few topics that will keep coming again, and this is the whole basic broad theme of macroeconomics. तो आप कोई भी टेक्स्ट बुक कभी भी, not just this course, कभी भी पढ़ोगे, they will just keep dealing with questions like these. Okay, yeah, so any doubts till now? Are you guys fine till now? Okay, no doubts. Okay, good to go. Lovely. Okay, Sakshi says lovely. All right. So let's do one thing. Let's take a 10 minutes break, and then we will talk about a few more themes कि macroeconomists क्या करते हैं, a basic topic कि क्या different theories हैं, थोड़ी brief overview regarding so there are different approaches, classical approach, Keynesian approach, ये अगर आपने सुना होगा उसके बारे में थोड़ा बहुत we'll discuss, and so today we'll just do a brief overview, and in the next lecture we'll start with national income accounting. Okay, so before the so like now let's take a 10 minutes break and then come back. Let's meet at 11:40, and in the meantime whosoever has not filled the attendance sheet, please do that. I'll share the link again. Okay, all right, let's meet at 11:40, and here is the link. Okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes. All right. So before going to the break, we were talking about aggregation. We talked about international economy के basic things, inflation, business cycle, all of these things. So let's also move on to a very important topic. उसका just little bit of gist of that topic. So एक इकोनॉमी को ग्रो करने के लिए बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स इंपॉर्टेंट है, which is रिसोर्सेज है कि नहीं, टेक्नोलॉजी कैसी है, पॉपुलेशन, how skilled is the population, how is the human resource in that country, all of these things. But a very important other aspect which determines कि आपकी economy will perform well or it'll lead to your ruining is macroeconomic policy. आपकी macroeconomic policies कैसी हैं as a country? So macroeconomic policies किस किस तरीके की हो सकती हैं? There are two major policies that the government has control over, which is fiscal policy and monetary policy. So these are two major types of policies that government controls, and that is their only way to deal with how the economy functions. अगर economy में कुछ भी flaw होता है तो fiscal policy and monetary policy का use करके ही the government tries to rectify those problems. Okay, so fiscal policies वो सारी policies होती हैं, they are related with spending, taxation, subsidies, so all the things which are related to government spending. So government spending money on infrastructure, on defense, on education, on building up factories, something like that. वो सारी चीजें फिस्कल पॉलिसीज में आती है कि गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड कहाँ कहाँ कर रही है. ठीक है. ऑल द टैक्सेशन रिलेटेड पॉलिसीज कि कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स कितना होना चाहिए, एजुकेशन सेस कितना होना चाहिए, जीएसटी कितना रखें, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स दे आर ऑल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ द फिस्कल पॉलिसी. ओके, सो टैक्स कलेक्शन कितना है, टैक्स कलेक्शन को कैसे बढ़ाएं, सब्सिडीज कहाँ कहाँ पे देनी है, ये सारी जो भी पॉलिसीज होती हैं दे कम अंडर द परव्यू ऑफ फिस्कल पॉलिसी. ओके, so they are a part of fiscal policy. Other set of policies are monetary policy, ऐसी policies which are involved with money. Okay, so monetary policies are all the policies which handle money supply in the economy. So this is usually done by central bank. तो जो central bank होता है, it is given the task to manage money. Why? ताकि inflation को control किया जा सके, हमारे जो रिजर्व्स हैं, फॉरेन रिजर्व्स हैं, उनको मेंटेन किया जा सके. सो एवरीथिंग रिलेटेड टू मनी और इंटरनेशनल करेंसीज और एवरीथिंग, ऑल ऑफ दोज पॉलिसीज कम अंडर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. बैंक्स पे क्या क्या रेगुलेशंस होने चाहिए, ऐसे बैंक्स क्या क्या करे ताकि कंज्यूमर्स को और इकोनॉमी को लीस्ट रिस्क हो, ये सारी जो भी पॉलिसीज होती हैं ये सेंट्रल बैंक हैंडल करता है. And the whole set of all these policies is called monetary policy. So central bank is given the task to regulate the banks, to maintain कि सबसे कम risk हो consumers को and economy को, and पूरी economy में inflation एक particular level के ऊपर ना जाए. This is also the responsibility of central bank. Central bank in India is the Reserve Bank of India. Yes. So, okay, so these are monetary policies. Okay. उसके अलावा there is one more idea. Okay. अब जैसे जैसे so there are different schools of thought. Schools of thought का मतलब होता है the philosophy that people have regarding how the economy works. ठीक है. So if you listen to or if you read different macroeconomists, they will have different ideas on how the economy works. So basically macroeconomists का काम क्या होता है? Theories बनाना, data को develop करना, forecasting करना, research में involved रहना, ताकि वो ये पता कर सके जो भी हमने ऊपर की discussions किए कि unemployment को कैसे tackle करें, inflation को टैकल करने का क्या तरीका हो सकता है, अगर एक इकोनॉमी को ग्रो करना है लॉन्ग टर्म में तो वो कैसे करें. ये सारे सवाल पे जो रिसर्च करनी होती है ये मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट करते हैं. एंड यू विल सी मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट वर्किंग इन द पब्लिक पॉलिसी एरिना. दे आर यूजुअली, अगर आप पब्लिक सेक्टर में बात करें, दे आर इन्वॉल्व्ड विद द पॉलिसी मेकिंग, मोस्टली फिस्कल पॉलिसी, मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, different policy implementations to tackle one or the other area that we discussed above. And if they are involved in private sectors, जैसे suppose कोई investment bank है, where should they put money? If something is happening in the economy, how will that affect the portfolio? Or where should the money be put so that it's giving you the most return? Macroeconomic environment change होने से, fiscal policy change होने से क्या impact पड़ेगा एक particular sector में? So ये सारे काम, if you are a macro economist in a private sector, you will be doing, and if you are in a public sector economy, public sector area, you will be mostly dealing with policy making and policy implementation. So काफी सारे schools of thought है, काफी अलग अलग ideas है कि macro economy काम कैसे करती है. Okay, so उसके बारे में there are two types of analysis basically. Okay, so एक एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं. जैसे सपोज मैंने बोला सन राइजेस इन द ईस्ट. ओके, दिस इज अ फैक्ट, दिस इज अ प्रूवन फैक्ट. ओके, सो बहुत सारे लोग होंगे who would agree कि ठीक है, it's a fact, it's a proven fact, I am fine. ठीक है. So एक स्टेटमेंट हो गई सन राइजेस इन द ईस्ट. एक स्टेटमेंट हो गई sun should not rise in the east, it should rise from the west, or maybe it should rise from the north or south. So whenever you put a should statement, whenever you put an opinion on something, whenever you say something which you think should happen based on some evidence, that is called normative analysis. Normative analysis matlab when you talk about whether some policy is desirable or not, what should happen. So जब भी आप इस तरीके की बातें करते हैं, इस तरीके के डिस्कशंस करते हैं, इनको बोलते हैं नॉर्मेटिव एनालिसिस. कि लेट्स से गवर्नमेंट ने कॉर्पोरेट्स पे लेट्स से 30% टैक्स है, तो सम पीपल हैव अ ओपिनियन कि ओके 30% टैक्स इज टू मच, पीपल विल नॉट हैव एन इंसेंटिव टू डू बिजनेस. आप 30% इनकम तो उनकी वैसे ही ले रहे हो, कैसे इंसेंटिव होगा उनके पास काम करने का. सो एंड सम पीपल माइट से नहीं 30% लेना चाहिए, दिस इज हाउ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन विल हैपन, अदरवाइज दे विल स्टार्ट बिकमिंग वेरी रिच, तो डिवाइड बढ़ता जाएगा, इनइक्वालिटी बढ़ती जाएगी. So let's say you are an economist, I am an economist, we might have different opinions on a particular policy. तो वो सब opinions raise करना, all of that is called normative analysis, where you are talking about what should happen. Okay, and दूसरी चीज होती है कि मैंने बोला कि 2 + 2 is 4. This is a positive statement. Positive statement मतलब ऐसा होता है, sun rises in the east, 2 + 2 is 4. Okay, अगर आप फैक्ट्री सेटअप करोगे तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट कम होगा. इस तरीके की स्टेटमेंट्स जहां पे आई एम नॉट गिविंग माय ओपिनियन, आई एम जस्ट गिविंग अ लॉजिकल स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड ऑन सम प्रूफ और बेस्ड ऑन सम मॉडल दैट आई हैव, राइट? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड पॉजिटिव एनालिसिस. how things work. So if you're making any statement like that, that is called positive analysis. Okay, so Namrata says, ma'am, please explain normative analysis again. Okay. Okay. So, okay, all right. Let's take an example. Let's say 5% tax on businesses will result in higher tax revenue. Suppose मैंने एक स्टेटमेंट बोली कि we are putting 5% tax on businesses and it will result in higher tax revenue for the firm. Because ये बहुत कम tax rate है, तो everybody will be like, okay, pay कर ही देते हैं. There is no incentive to evade tax. कौन इतना effort लगाएगा अलग अलग तरीके निकालने के कि चलो हम tax evade कर लेते हैं, ठीक है? So there is one statement that 5% tax on businesses will result in higher tax revenue. तो ये आपने एक statement दी है, right? कि this is how things will work. Okay, this is a positive statement. Whenever you make a statement about कैसे चीजें काम कर रही हैं, ठीक है? अब इस स्टेटमेंट के बेस पे आपने दो इकोनॉमिस्ट को बुलाया और एक पर्सन बोलते हैं नहीं 5% टैक्स नहीं होना चाहिए बिकॉज 5% इज टू लो. इसका मतलब जो सैलरी वाला एम्प्लॉयड है उससे आप ज्यादा टैक्स ले रहे हो, तो फिर ये तो दिस इज नॉट फेयर टू देम, राइट? आप रिच लोगों को और रिच बना रहे हो, उनसे कम टैक्स ले रहे हो. ये उस इकोनॉमिस्ट ने अपनी एक ओपिनियन दी है कि दिस शुड नॉट हैपन, एंड समबडी सेज no, this should happen. Why? Because इतना कम टैक्स होगा तो ओवरऑल हमारे पास टैक्स कलेक्शन ज्यादा होगा, तो जो एक्स्ट्रा मनी हमारे पास आ रही है उससे हम सिटीजन्स का कुछ पॉलिसी में डाल सकते हैं, कुछ अदर प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वॉल्व हो सकते हैं. ये दूसरे इकोनॉमिस्ट की ओपिनियन है, राइट? तो एक स्टेटमेंट हमने दी which was a positive analysis, and then we talked about how people have different opinions on how things should work. That is called normative analysis, right? So this is the difference between positive and normative analysis. Okay, got it. Okay, Namrata. A very basic normal example. Let's say you are wearing a black kurta and someone says she is wearing a black kurta. Okay, this is a positive statement. If someone starts saying she is going in summer, she should not wear a black kurta. Okay, so that would be a normative statement. You are giving a should statement. You are telling if this particular action is desirable or not. Okay. सो इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं जो आपस में बहुत वेरिड ओपिनियंस होती हैं, बिकॉज एवरीबडी हैज अ डिफरेंट ओपिनियन कि ये पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए कि नहीं होनी चाहिए, ये चीज ज्यादा अच्छी है, ये बुरी है. सो बिकॉज लोगों के अलग अलग ओपिनियंस होते हैं, दे हैव डिफरेंट ओपिनियंस ऑन डिफरेंट पॉलिसीज. ओके, बट मोर और लेस चीजें कैसे काम करती हैं इस पे लोग अग्री करते हैं कि ये सन राइजेस इन द ईस्ट, अर्थ इज राउंड, ऑल ऑफ दीज almost everyone, most people have a set bill. Most of the people agree कि हाँ ये चीजें ऐसे ही work करती हैं. But there are few approaches in macroeconomics जहाँ पे people have differences in terms of how things work itself. अगर ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि कुछ लोगों ने बोला this is how economy works. Some people say that the economy is working in a different way. सो काफी बार क्या होता है कि पॉजिटिव एनालिसिस में ही फर्क हो सकता है. एंड टू ऑफ दीज डिफरेंसेस आर व्हाट इज कॉल्ड क्लासिकल अप्रोच एंड व्हाट इज कॉल्ड Keynesian approach. So these are two famous schools of thoughts कि how economy works. So there are people who are advocates of classical approach. So they have a set of ideas about how economy works. ठीक है? And there are people who are propagators of Keynesian approach. They have different ideas on how economy works. So we'll briefly discuss a bit about what are these two approaches. Okay. Any doubts till this point? No. Okay. No, ma'am. Okay. Lovely. थोड़ा हिस्ट्री लेसन जैसा लगेगा ये, बट आई थिंक इन द बिगर कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ थिंग्स दिस इज गुड फॉर यू. ओके. Okay, I will Sakshi, I'll explain these two approaches. Yes. Okay. Okay, so all right. So have you guys heard of the invisible hand theory? Like ever in your class 12 or anywhere? Okay. Nagalakshmi says yeah. Sakshi says no. Okay. Namrita says no. Okay. Nagalakshmi, would you like to say something about the invisible hand theory or what it is? Just some brief idea.
Like I've just heard of it. I don't remember the concept.
Okay. No problem. Okay. So in simple terms, so this was a theory which was given by, whom we refer to as the father of modern economics, Adam Smith. ये काफी नाम आपने सुना होगा. So he gave a theory of invisible hand. So he said, मैं आपको बहुत ही हिंदी में एक शॉर्ट क्रिस्प तरीके में बता देती हूँ. तो उन्होंने, so he used an example of a baker, एक पर्सन जो बेकरी चलाते हैं और जो ब्रेड्स बनाते हैं, ठीक है. So he said कि whenever a baker is making a bread, he is not doing any favor to you. ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको बहुत मतलब he feels for you कि okay, अगर आपने ब्रेड नहीं खाई तो क्या हो जाएगा. He doesn't think about anybody else. He's thinking about his own personal interest, that अगर वो ब्रेड बनाएंगे तो वो ब्रेड मार्केट में बिकेगी, उनसे उनको पैसा आएगा, फिर उनसे वो बाकी चीजें खरीद पाएंगे. All of this. So he is saying nobody is doing anything for their for anybody's benefit. कोई भी किसी पे कोई benevolence नहीं कर रहा है. There is an invisible hand which is dictating everyone what to do. तो पूरी साइकिल उन्होंने एक्सप्लेन की थी कि एक फार्मर है जो गेहूं उगा रहा है, उसको कोई बोलता नहीं है कि आप गेहूं उगाओ. वो अपने कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस करते हैं, वो गेहूं उगाते हैं, उसको मार्केट में बेचते हैं. उस गेहूं को there is some person who converts that wheat into wheat flour. There is some person who brings that flour to the baker by transporting it. Then this baker converts that wheat flour into bread. Then there is one person who's a retailer who sells all of this to his shop. And then there is a final consumer who pays for it, right? So उन्होंने कहा था there is an invisible hand which is dictating how everybody is doing their work. So they said, if you keep everything free, if you don't intervene anything, everybody would exactly be doing the same thing. अगर लोग individually अपने interest के बारे में चीजें सोचते रहेंगे, then there is no need for any intervention. People will get what people will desire. जिस भी चीज की मार्केट में डिमांड होगी वो चीज सप्लाई कर दी जाएगी. This was the theory of invisible hand. कि आपको किसी को बताना नहीं है कि आप ब्रेड बनाइए, आप जैम बनाइए, या फिर आप कंप्यूटर्स बनाइए. Wherever there is a market demand for anything, people will make it. There'll be people who will be suppliers, there'll be people who will be in agriculture and everything. And this was the whole theory of invisible hand. कि एक ऐसा hand है जो दिखता नहीं है, but it is dictating people what to do. They are not being told, उनको बताया नहीं जा रहा है कि क्या करना है, but they are exactly doing what they should be doing, right? So this was the theory of invisible hand. So they say that if we have free markets and if individuals conduct their economic affairs in their best interest, the overall economy will work well. So this is what the invisible hand said. But a very clear assumption in this whole theory was कि कोई इंटरवेंशन नहीं है, कोई गवर्नमेंट इंटरवीन नहीं कर रही है, कोई किसी ने ये नहीं बोला है कि मिनिमम इतनी वेज ही दो, या फिर इतना प्राइस तो आपको रखना ही पड़ेगा, इतनी यूनिट्स तो सेल करोगे ही, इतनी सब्सिडी मिलेगी. देयर इज नो इंटरवेंशन फ्रॉम एनीवन. ओके, सो इट रिलाइज ऑन नो इंटरवेंशन. So no intervention is basically what it means when we say free market. There are no interventions in the market. And there is one more crucial assumption for this theory to hold is we have price and wage flexibility. अब अगर सपोज सडनली मार्केट में ब्रेड की बहुत ज्यादा डिमांड हो गई है, राइट, दैट मीन्स ज्यादा लोगों को ब्रेड चाहिए, राइट. तो अगर प्राइसेस फ्लेक्सिबल है तो क्या होगा, जैसे ही डिमांड बढ़ेगी प्राइसेस बढ़ जाएंगे. जैसे ही प्राइसेस लोग देखेंगे कि प्राइसेस तो ब्रेड के बढ़ गए हैं, मुझे भी इस बिजनेस में आना चाहिए, तो ज्यादा लोग एंट्री कर लेंगे उस बिजनेस में, और ब्रेड की सप्लाई थोड़ी और बढ़ जाएगी और प्राइसेस नॉर्मल हो जाएंगे. एंड दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस एवरीवेयर. जहां पे भी सडनली बहुत ज्यादा डिमांड है, पीपल सी द प्राइसेस राइजिंग एंड देन पीपल सी एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर मेकिंग प्रॉफिट, कि उस सेक्टर में जाके वो प्रॉफिट अर्न कर सकते हैं, राइट. सो वो प्रॉफिट देख के ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग आएंगे मार्केट में, उससे जो सप्लाई है मीट हो जाएगी और डिमांड भी मीट हो जाएगी. उससे क्या होगा, प्राइसेस नॉर्मलाइज हो जाएंगे और फिर लोग उस मार्केट में एंटर करना बंद कर देंगे. दिस इज हाउ एवरीथिंग वर्क्स. तो इसकी अजम्पशन क्या है कि प्राइसेस आर फ्लेक्सिबल. प्राइसेस, डिमांड ज्यादा है तो प्राइसेस ज्यादा होंगे. रिफ्लेक्ट कर, प्राइस क्या है, प्राइस एक तरीका है डिमांड को रिफ्लेक्ट करने का. इफ समथिंग इज वेरी प्राइसी, दैट मीन्स मेनी पीपल आर डिमांडिंग इट. एक इनिशियल इनहेरेंट वैल्यू भी है, बट उससे अगर प्राइस ज्यादा है, दैट मीन्स मेनी पीपल आर डिमांडिंग. Suddenly this pen, let's say it's for 10 rupees. Suddenly इसका inherent cost जो भी है, it's 10 rupees. Suddenly tomorrow it starts at 50 rupees. Then I know many people are demanding it. That is why its demand is high. ठीक है. Similarly wage भी flexible होनी चाहिए, कि अगर let's say काम बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ रहा है but similar skill के लोग ज्यादा नहीं है, तो आपकी wages proportionately increase होनी चाहिए. So this whole idea of invisible hand relies on price and wage flexibility. So just a overview again, invisible hand theory says that if the market is free and if the individuals are left to act merely based on their own economic interest, the whole economy is going to work well, and whatever is demanded in the economy will be supplied in the economy. And this relies on a very important assumption, which is that prices are flexible and wages are also flexible. तो ये एक theory है about what, कि economy ऐसे काम करती है, right? This is one way. So if someone is a believer in this theory, what will he or she advocate? She will say, please, let's not intervene in the market. Let's not let the businesses work, let the individuals work. There is no need for government intervention. So अगर कोई सरकार है जो इस थियोरी में ज्यादा बिलीव करती है, तो वो क्या बोलेंगी, वो इकोनॉमी में ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व नहीं होना चाहेंगे, राइट. If someone is a believer of this theory, they will promote or they will debate or they will argue for lesser and lesser government intervention. Is this particular idea good? Are you guys okay with this one? Yes. Okay. Lovely. Any doubts till this point? Anything that you want to ask? Okay, I think no. Okay. So just like everything else, जैसे जैसे चीजें जैसे जैसे चीजें एडवांस करती हैं, आप नए नए सिनेरियोज देखते हो इकोनॉमी में. पहले के टाइम में मे बी लोगों ने डिप्रेशन नहीं देखा हो, या मतलब ग्रेट रिसेशन, डिप्रेशन. तो यूजुअली थियरीज बनती कैसे हैं, जो लोग अपने रियल लाइफ में होते हुए देखते हैं उसको थोड़ा स्ट्रक्चर करके लोग प्रेजेंट करते हैं. दैट इज हाउ अ थियरी बिकम्स, राइट. तो जैसे जैसे चीजें आगे बढ़ी, क्लासिकल अप्रोच के हिसाब से क्या होना चाहिए, गवर्नमेंट शुड नॉट इंटरवीन, एवरीथिंग विल वर्क फाइन बिकॉज फ्री मार्केट एंड everybody doing what they should be doing and done. There is no need for intervention for government. और उन्होंने मान लिया था कि प्राइसेस और वेजेस बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल होते हैं, राइट. दिस इज हाउ द होल थ्योरी वाज बेस्ड. बट जैसे जैसे चीजें आगे बढ़ती हैं, जैसे नए नए इवेंट्स देखने को मिलते हैं, काफी बार ऐसा लगा कि ये जो थियोरी है दैट इज नॉट वर्किंग. सो ड्यूरिंग द 1929 ग्रेट डिप्रेशन दैट वाज हैपनिंग, 1929 the Great Depression of 1929 in the US, and which again propagated elsewhere also. लोगों ने देखा, इकोनॉमिस्ट ने देखा कि अगर गवर्नमेंट कोई इंटरवेंशन कर रही है तो देयर इज नथिंग हैपनिंग. एंड वेजेस भी फ्लेक्सिबल नहीं है और प्राइसेस भी उतने फ्लेक्सिबल नहीं है. सो देयर वाज अ नीड फॉर अ न्यू अप्रोच. कोई अलग तरीका हो, कोई अलग तरीके से हम लोग इकोनॉमी को एक्सप्लेन करें कि चीजें कैसे हो रही हैं. At that point of time, there was a British economist called John Maynard Keynes. He wrote in his book, which was the General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. So in this book, he laid out the foundation for what is currently called the Keynesian approach, Keynesian economics. There was a whole new side of economics that he brought in. So he brought in different ideas with that. So what were his ideas? So at that point of time, what was happening during the Great Depression? What was happening? So the Great Depression was there. Great Depression was there. There were super high unemployment rates. And it was felt that this invisible hand theory that people were talking about at that point in time, this did not work. Market में demand थी, market में लोग चीजें demand कर रहे थे, but there were not enough suppliers. और लोग फैक्ट्रीज भी सेटअप नहीं कर रहे थे. There was huge unemployment, widespread unemployment, and when the government did not do anything, nothing was happening, right? So at that point of time, Keynes proposed different kinds of solutions. So उन्होंने बोला कि ये जो हाई अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है, इसको हम कैसे डील करें, इससे हम कैसे टैकल करें. तो उन्होंने बोला, when people are not able to deal with things on their own, what should happen? The government should come to the forefront and then they should start spending money on goods and services. तो उन्होंने क्या बोला, अभी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है, अभी इकोनॉमी की हालत अच्छी नहीं है, तो आप क्या करो, आप गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग को बढ़ाओ. गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग कैसे बढ़ती है? व्हेन गवर्नमेंट स्टार्ट्स टू बिल्ड रोड्स, दे स्टार्ट्स डूइंग सम कंस्ट्रक्शन, they announce some project, something like that. So उससे क्या होता है, जब भी एक नया प्रोजेक्ट अनाउंस होता है, उसके लिए क्या चाहिए? अब लोगों की नीड होगी, काम करना पड़ेगा. अगर कोई कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं तो सीमेंट की जरूरत होगी, ट्रांसपोर्ट की भी जरूरत होगी, वर्कर्स की भी जरूरत होगी. उससे क्या है, धीरे धीरे डिमांड लोग, काम करने वाले लोगों की डिमांड बढ़ रही है. तो उससे क्या हो रहा है, अब जिन लोगों को आपने बुलाया, उन लोगों को आप इनकम भी दोगे. अब उनके पास जब इनकम जाएगी तो वो लोग खर्चा भी करेंगे, वो लोग खाने पीने की चीजें भी खाएंगे, कुछ कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल्स, कपड़े, कार, गाड़ी, घर, कुछ ना कुछ खरीदेंगे. तो ये पूरी एक साइक्लिक चीज, इट्स अ साइकिल. सो whenever the economy is stagnant and nothing is happening, Keynes ने propose किया, in such a situation what you should do, you should spend the government should spend some money. Why? To revive the demand. Revive demand how? एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करो, लोगों के हाथ में पैसा दो, वो लोग पैसा खर्च करेंगे, जिससे खर्च करेंगे वो और गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज मांगेंगे. तो ये पूरी की पूरी साइकिल जो है ये इकोनॉमी में फिर से शुरू हो जाएगी. तो अगर आप न्यूज या जो भी आप देखते हो, जब भी एक क्राइसिस की सिचुएशन आती है, गवर्नमेंट अनाउंसेस फिस्कल पैकेजेस. उसका मतलब क्या होता है? फिस्कल पैकेजेस अनाउंस करना मतलब वो दिस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे. उससे क्या होता है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ेगी, लोगों के हाथ में पैसा आएगा, वो डिमांड करेंगे, वो और खर्चे करेंगे. सो स्पेंडिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एन इकोनॉमी. सो कई बार इन जनरल आई यूज्ड टू आस्क माई सेल्फ कि व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ स्पेंडिंग सो मेनी फेस्टिवल्स, इतने खर्चे करने का क्या पॉइंट है? बट यू सी, it's so good when people go out, when they spend money. एंड जब भी फेस्टिवल होता है, उससे क्या होता है, लोग जनरली बहुत सारी चीजें खरीदते हैं. उससे क्या होता है, जो भी ट्रेडर्स हैं, वेंडर्स हैं, आर्टिस्ट हैं, सब कुछ है, उनकी चीजें खरीद रहे हैं लोग, उनके पास पैसा आ रहा है. सो देयर इज अ सो इंडियन कल्चर में देयर इज अ इनहेरेंट वे इन विच इकोनॉमी वर्क्स. उन्होंने बहुत सारे फेस्टिवल्स जनरेट कर दिए. ताकि इकोनॉमी में डिमांड चलती रहे. So it's a great thing. But anyways, coming back to point, are you guys able to see me and hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay, it was showing that my internet is unstable. Okay. Okay, lovely. So Keynes proposed that what we should do in order to deal with high unemployment, what we should do, we should increase government spending. But it's becoming so difficult to stay concentrated. Yes, Sakshi, we are just finishing up. In next 10 minutes, we'll be done. For the days, at least the overview part will be done. Don't worry. I can understand 3 hours is a long time. Okay, yeah. All right. So Keynes proposed that in order to deal with situations of high unemployment, what we should do, we should increase government spending. Why? So that it ultimately raises demand for other products, or you can say output. So Keynes was pretty skeptical about the whole invisible hand theory, and he advocated the role for more government intervention in situations like these. Okay, so he said government should take active role to deal with all these kinds of situations, because one thing that he said, that prices are not so flexible and wages are also not flexible. एक इंसान अगर एक बार 100 रुपए कमाता है दिन का, it's very hard. Ask him. It's very hard for you to, he's never ready to take a pay cut. That is why people are very skeptical in raising pay. क्योंकि एक बार एक इंसान को आप एक particular pay करने लग जाओ, it's very hard to go back. So wages are not so flexible, and neither are prices, because of various things. So this whole invisible hand theory was not working at that time, and at that point of time, Keynes said, this is what we should do to deal with all these kinds of situations. All right. So that came out to be a new side of economics, which was Keynesian approach of how to deal with things. Okay. But again, just like other things, what happens, फिर एक नई situation आती है, नया तरीके का प्रॉब्लम आता है, उस केस में फिर जो भी आइडियाज होते हैं उसमें कुछ ना कुछ फ्लॉ आ जाता है, फिर न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स डेवलप हो गई. सो ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ 1970s there were high rates of, in the US there were high rates of unemployment and high inflation as well. So according to Keynes, whenever you have high unemployment, inflation would be low, according to his theory. But in 1970s, what was seen, that unemployment was also high and inflation was also high. So उस केस में क्या हुआ, जो भी theory उन्होंने बनाई थी, that seemed a little inadequate to explain more and more things. So उससे क्या होता है, फिर new Keynesian approach आई, फिर new classical approach आई, and this is how this whole this field is advancing. जैसे जैसे नई नई चीजें आ रही हैं, नए नए developments हो रहे हैं, जैसे 1990s में जो .com bubble आया, उससे कुछ नए changes आए, field में नए ideas आए, 2008 का जो financial housing, US housing crisis जो आया, उससे नए developments हुए. So this is the trajectory that macroeconomics has taken. At that time, classical theory was prominent. कुछ नया event हुआ, Keynesian theory was there. 1970s में कुछ हुआ, उससे कोई नई theory develop हुई. 2008 में कुछ चीजें हुई. अब behavioral economics काफी picture में है, right? Because all of these things human behavior cannot be assumed rational and people behave irrationally. And there are different kinds of things that people do which rationally and logically they should not. So people started adding all those things in their theories as well. So this is how it all happens. This is how it all progresses. Okay. So this was the whole overview of what all macroeconomics is, what all types of approaches we have. So अभी हम लोग किसी भी चीज में we haven't digged deeper, but एक आपको broad bird's eye view picture मिल गई होगी कि ये सब होता है macroeconomics में. Yes. Any doubts, anything that you guys want to share? I think let's stop here only for today. I'll let you guys enjoy the the overview and will not bog you down with other details. We'll keep that for the next lecture. We'll begin with next lecture, which is how do we measure economic activity? How do we measure what is happening in the economy for the next lecture? Okay. Can you mail the slides or recordings for this session? Sure. I will be mailing both for mathematics if some of you have been there, and for this one as well. Yes. Don't worry about that. You'll get the recordings. You'll get the lecture notes. I'll share the class notes as well if you want. They are not so neat, but okay. Yes, I'll share them with you.